You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Happy Friday, everybody. I am Daniel.
I am Clint, and this is John from John Tweet Sports, back with us again. John, say hi to the people.
Ooh. Hey, everybody! Happy Friday, gentlemen.
It's good to be here talking to you fine folks on a Friday.
Today's episode is brought to you by Netsuite, who John will soon be taking over in a power merge with a whole lot of other companies.
With Dog Dispatch. Is Netsuite merging with Dog Dispatch?
Hey, it's open for acquisition. I'm taking buyers. If you're interested in Netsuite, just give me a call.
Wow. That's it. Oh, not even Dog Dispatch not for sale, but Netsuite is open. All right. Well, yesterday on the show, we broke down this defensive recruiting class, the early signing period. Georgia got 23 signees, and many of them play on the defensive side of the ball. And so we broke that down yesterday. If you didn't get a chance to watch that, you can go back and listen to the audio from Thursday, or you can just click on the channel on YouTube and find that video. It will be right down there for you. But today, fellas, we're not going to rehash any of that old news. Instead, we are going to jump in to this offensive side of the ball. Now, the offensive side of the ball lacks the overwhelming star power that the defensive side of the ball brings to the table.
In comparison with our defensive class.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so my opening question to you is, before we get into the specifics of talking about this class, my opening question to you is, are you concerned by that? Is that a concern to you? Should Georgia fans be looking at this class? Because here's a narrative. I'm not saying this narrative is fair or accurate, but I'm going to give you a narrative that you might find, say, in the comment section of this podcast or various other places. The narrative goes something like this. Georgia, once again, goes all in on defense and forsakes the offense, playing old school college football, trying to win with an antiquated system, blah, 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 blah. Is there any validity to that narrative, one, I guess, and two, is it a concern for you that the star power is maybe a little bit lacking on the offensive side of the ball in this class?
Well, those are great questions, Daniel. I would say, I always like to flip those questions around and look at the roster. So, did Brock Bowers have a lot of star power? Was there a lot of cachet around a name like Brock Bowers coming into the signing class last year? Was there some cachet around a guy named Lab McConkey coming into the signing class? When you look at some of the guys who have produced the most for Georgia's offense this year, they're guys that fit a system that I still believe that Todd Monken is building. And so when you look at this recruiting class, there are talented guys that were signed for Georgia this week on the offensive side of the ball that fit into that system that Todd Monken is trying to build at Georgia. And so I think you have to look at it that way if you're Georgia on the offensive side of the ball. Now, I think the proof is always in the pudding. What results are you going to see from these guys that were signed? But man, there's a lot to be excited about in this offensive class when you look at what Georgia is trying to do on offense and you look at the guys that have been the most productive, that have shown the flashes on the offensive side of the ball in 2021. You have guys that are coming behind them that have a lot of those same skill sets. So you got to be excited about that.
Yeah, this class definitely looks like there was a plan and a mold to be followed, right? We got Gunner. All right, we got a quarterback who's slinging all over the place. We got another tight end who's athletic and mean and nasty. Okay, great. Then we go get a just rock solid pound the rock running back. Okay, so these are the big three stars. Each one receiver, quarterback, running back. Lack of offensive line, and you start seeing there's a tendency here, right? Just like on defense, let's go get cornerbacks, guys that can cover, and guys that can get after the quarterback. The rest will fill in. We'll figure that out come later. But there was clearly a primary target, and they hit those targets well in this class.
Yeah, and I think you see too, just to piggyback on that point, Clint, that nowhere is it more evident than the offensive line. And John, you kind of made this point for the team in general, I think. But think about the players on the offensive side of the ball right now. Like, just look the skill positions specifically. Like, they're all take out Zamir White and James Cook, which there's backs behind those guys, right? The ones that we particularly like, named Kenny McIntosh, Kendall Milton. Take out those two guys. The skill positions across the board are all very young talent.
Very young.
They're all back. They're all coming back. John Fitzpatrick, Zamir White, James Cook. I just named the people that have started a game on offense at the skill positions who won't be back next year. Like these are the guys, and they'll all be coming back. And that also applies to the offensive line. Georgia has signed 5-star number 1 tackles in the class 2 consecutive years in Broderick Jones and Amarius Mims. Not to mention guys like Tate Ratledge, not to mention guys like Cedric Van Pran, not to mention the offensive line talent is there. There is so much depth.
You have to expect that like Xavier Truss is going to come around at some point. You have Owen Condon, who's played pretty well in some of those positions. So I agree with you. I think if you look at the skill position and you look at guys like Jermaine Burton's coming back, Justin Robinson, Jalen Johnson, like you start naming the guys that are going to be there. And these are all, for the most part, really young guys that are still that their best football is still ahead of them on that side of the football.
That's right. Justin Robinson is going to transfer, but he would be eligible to come back if he did not choose to do that.
Well, there you go.
Which he will. All right. The question then, Clint, is can the quarterbacks that we recruit play? Can they go onto the field and play in the games? These guys that we recruit. So let's talk about the quarterback. Let's start the conversation there as we go into segment 2. Let's talk about Gunner Stockton. Let's see what he brings to the table, and let's talk about whether or not he's a long-term fit to see the field in Athens. After we tell you about Netsuite. Yeah, after we tell you about Netsuite, John's company.
The punt to John's company, the punt to win the tournament.
We signed an Australian partner, guys.
I'm going to get a cease and desist later from Netsuite.
We signed an Australian punter for the first time. It's a big deal.
We signed the number 1 punting prospect. Somebody said the nation's number 1, and then somebody corrected them and said the world's number 1 punting prospect.
You love to see it.
Our guy Brett Thompson
from down under. Pro Kick Australia. Shout out Pro Kick Australia.
We're going. This is deep in the bag. This is it. The putt to win the tournament. If you sink it, the championship is yours. But on your backswing, your hat falls over your eyes. Is this how you're running your business? Poor visibility because you're still relying on spreadsheets and outdated finance software. To see the full picture, you need to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the number 1 cloud financial system to power your growth, visibility, control all your financials, inventory, HR planning, budgeting, and more. NetSuite is everything you need to grow all in one place. With NetSuite, you can automate your processes and close your books in no time at all while staying well ahead of your competition. 93% of surveyed businesses increase their visibility and control after upgrading NetSuite. 97% of businesses would like to have an Australian punter on their team, but they can't get them. Over 27,000 businesses already use netsuite.com. And right now, through the end of the year, NetSuite is offering one-of-a-kind financing program for those ready to upgrade at netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA. Head to netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA for special end-of-year financing on the number 1 financial growth system for growing businesses. netsuite.com/LockedOnNCAA.
Also want to tell you about betonline.ag. They're online sportsbook experts. They're the Australian punter of online betting sites. If you go there right now and you enter the promo code Locked On, you get a 50% bonus on your initial deposit. Betonline.ag is your online sportsbook expert. They have all of the wagers that you want to place on all of the sports that you want to place them on. You want to bet on golf as the golf season gets underway next month, in like when they start those Hawaii things. You want to bet on the NHL because that's the life that you have chosen to live. John spent some time in Canada recently. He could tell you, he could probably advise you on some great NHL picks if you just tweet him at John Tweet Sports. He'll hit you up with those.
Yep.
You want to bet on the NBA, you want to bet on the NFL, obviously bowl season, college basketball, all of that and more at betonline.ag. They're your online sportsbook experts. And again, enter the promo code Locked On for a 50% bonus on your initial deposit at betonline.ag.
Can we real quick? This is the Florida recruit update. I want to let you know this is a message. This is a message from Locked On Gators.
Okay. Here we go.
Was Florida's early signing day good? No, but given the expectations, it was amazing. Keep all of our guys and add 2 top 100 players. That's what Florida fan is doing these days. Just to let you.
Did they?
I'm sorry.
Did they keep Julian Humphrey?
They didn't.
And CJ Smith. And
did they keep?
I don't know what keep our guys. I don't know. Emory Jones hit the portal. Maybe
I
was going to say,
a good day. Keep Emory Jones. Was he the guy? He seemed to be the guy that started all the games.
Here's what I'll say to Florida fans. My grandmother used to say that the key to happiness in life is lowered expectations. So
smart grandma.
Just keep lowering those expectations, and you'll be a lot happier.
Look, I mean, you hired Billy Napier, so you're off to a great start in terms of lowering expectations. So,
okay, Daniel, where are we going? That's the Florida recruiting class update.
The one-time Sun Belt champion Billy Napier is the head coach, 50th overall ranked class, still as it stands currently. Listen, we're going to talk about the quarterbacks. Gunner Stockton, obviously, probably the marquee name on the board for this Georgia class. First of all, John, let's just talk about Gunner Stockton, the player, before we talk about how he fits into the system and all of that stuff. Among the most prolific high school quarterbacks to ever play in the great state of Georgia. Am I misreading that? Is that accurate?
No, you're accurate. Gunner Stockton was breaking records set by guys like Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson, and the names that are in the upper echelon of Georgia high school football.
Remember when Clemson used to be good? You guys remember when Clemson used to be good?
Okay. I remember.
That was it.
Remember when they used to have coordinators to keep their program from falling into complete rubble? No more, guys.
Screw you for wanting these kids to get money. How dare you?
How dare you?
Against God in this country.
Gunner Stockton breaking all sorts of records this year.
Yeah. What's interesting, what you got to love about Gunner is, first of all, his name is Gunner. And if you're going to have a quarterback recruit lead your class, a name like Gunner, I think is long overdue for a Georgia quarterback.
People are asking, is he the Shooter McGavin of recruited quarterbacks? Is that fair to say?
Very possible. His hair, his facial hair, attempts at facial hair. He's got a little bit of work to do. He's got a little bit of work to do in the appearance department, but man, so dual threat, can run it, can throw it, can throw it while on the run. His arm strength is incredible. If you're looking for that type of player that can improvise and make a throw when he's under duress, Gunner Stockton is that guy. Like, he's the guy that you want. Now, you got to probably a couple of years for him to develop, to learn the system. to play behind hopefully another good quarterback or two.
Hold on,
that can
John, don't tease. Don't.
I'm sorry. I'm just down on my knees over here. Just please.
Hopefully another quarterback that can do a little gun slinging
and
throw it. Yeah.
You'd
love to see that
all over again.
You'd love to see it, but Gunner Stockton, he that's what you want out of a quarterback. At this day and age, is somebody who can improvise, who has the arm strength to throw it while he's on the run, or just tuck it and take off, and he gives you all that.
Now, listen, I don't mean to go too deep in the weeds on this quarter because we're here to talk about the offensive recruiting class, and we want to do that. But when you describe this quarterback to me, it's not and you describe his attributes, what he does well. Mm-hmm. It harkens to mind some other quarterbacks of recent. So let's just look at the quarterbacks that Todd Monken went out and got.
Okay. This is beautiful. I love it.
Gunner Stockton most recently. Brock Vandagriff before that. Stetson Bennett before that. And Jamie Newman before that. That's the core. And people forget the way that offseason went down is Georgia went out and got Jamie Newman.
Yes.
And then at the 11th hour, almost out of nowhere, this kid from California, JT Daniels, is all of a sudden like, oh, he's coming to Georgia too. But I'm not saying Todd Monken didn't want him. I'm not like that's not none of that stuff. I'm not saying he wasn't happy to have him. But there's obviously a type of quarterback that Todd Monken is looking to play at the University of Georgia. And if you need some evidence for that, I point you towards the last 8 games. There's a type of quarterback that Todd Monken is looking to play in Athens. And there are now 2 very highly rated of those types of quarterbacks on the roster for Georgia, and their names are Brock Vandagriff and Gunner Stockton, which, again, if you are a Georgia nihilist, which we understand, we don't approve of it, but we understand it. If you're a Georgia nihilist and you're going to say it's nothing ever works out, no one ever pans out, it's never going to whatever, just wait and remind yourself that the quarterbacks that you hope play for Georgia moving forward are those same quarterbacks that fit the mold of the system that the offensive coordinator for Georgia is looking to put in place.
There you go.
Moving forward, which, if anything, is going to give you hope for if you're a person who's looking for hope in a quarterback change, then that should spring some hope to mind. John, I don't think Gunner Stockton is the best offensive weapon that we recruited in this class. Clint doesn't think that either. We've talked about this.
Yep.
Can we talk about this kid Oscar Delp for a minute because
I don't think I'm in a proper place right here. This is in public. This needs to be doors.
It's
closed.
unfair. It's unfair to the young man for me to jump straight into what I want to talk about, and so I want you, John, to just talk to us about Oscar Delp, the player, and then we'll jump into where he will be lining up and next to whom will he be lining up next year, because that's what I want to talk about. But that's not really fair to him. Let's talk about who is Oscar Delp, the football player.
Guys, who is Oscar Delp? So you start with his attributes. 6'5", 220. The kid, he runs a 4.6, which is pretty
real
quick for a tight end.
Real quick.
It's faster. This is going to surprise you. It's faster than I run the 40-yard dash.
No.
And I'm pretty fleet of foot.
Did you have a day and age where you could dunk, John?
I could. Hey, go check the Twitters. I have My high school friend saying I can confirm that John could dunk in high school.
I got a lot of high school friends that could say a lot of good things about me, John.
There's a lot of things that us old fat guys say at this point. That, so Oscar Delp. What I love about him is so obviously physical traits, tight end. He'll be able to block in the run game, which is really important for Georgia's tight ends. But man, this guy as a route runner. If you watch him in high school, he already is at a place where he is running very, very, very good routes. So you line him up. You line him up outside. You line him up, in 12 or 13 personnel with someone that I'll let you talk about them both being on the field in a moment, or maybe all three of them being on the field in a moment. However you want to take that.
13 personnel. This
13
is the personnel.
13 personnel. This kid, I mean, great hands. He's essentially he's in the mold of I'll say it for you, of a Brock Bowers. His hands, his ability to run routes, his speed, his physical traits. It's what you want. It's what you want. And he also has been, he's a two-time, state player of the year at tight end. So he's been doing it. He's been good for a long time. And now he's about to be really good at the University of Georgia next year.
Love that. We're going to come back after this side of the break, after we talk a little bit more, get more insight to this offense, maybe running back, maybe some wide receivers, what we added to it. Oscar Delp is everything that we were hoping for. And yes, we're going to talk about where he might be lining up next to. But Daniel's going to let you know about Built Bar.
Built Bar is the tastiest protein bar on planet Earth. You know this if you've ever listened to the podcast before, but if you're new, let us inform you. Not all protein bars are hot garbage. There is, in fact, a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, and it is called Built Bar. It's high in protein, every single flavor. Every single delicious choice that you have at BuiltBar.com, they're all high in protein, they're all high in fiber, they're all low in sugar, they're all keto approved, they're all good for whatever meal plan, whatever diet, whatever exercise regimen or meal replacement strategy you are on. BuiltBar.com, throw some in your backpack, your purse, your glove box, wherever. Go there now to BuiltBar.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDON15 for 15% off your entire order. That's 1 box, 2 boxes, 28 boxes, whatever you want from BuiltBar.com. LOCKEDON15 gets you 15% off. Stocking stuffers, holiday office, Christmas gifts, whatever you need, BuiltBar.com has it. So go there right now, get some of those marshmallow puffs, dip them in the hot cocoa, and thank me in the comments later. BuiltBar.com, LockedOn15 in the promo code for 15% off your entire order today.
Love it.
Georgia has a lot of good tight ends. I don't know if you know this, fellas, but on each pass play, only one person gets to catch the ball. Are you aware of this? It's not like basketball. Clint, basketball is a sport that's played with 2 hoops and a spherical
I'm well
ball.
aware of what basketball is. I'm wondering when Georgia will start playing it.
Okay.
This got hot in here. It's not like rugby where the ball you just throw the ball around.
You're not just pitching it all over the yard. Okay, you don't have ball movement on offense, right? This is not the goal.
Our positionless
football. Well, that's sort of my point. Speaking of positionless football, only one receiver on a pass play gets to catch the ball per play, and so to say, let's talk about the wide receivers in this class now that we've talked about Oscar Delp. Is an erroneous argument. And if anybody could prove that, his name's Brock Bowers, and he should have showed it to you this year. He's the best freshman pass catcher that's ever played at the University of Georgia, ever. And who cares if he plays tight end? He might leave the University of Georgia. He's on pace, certainly, to leave the University of Georgia as the most prolific pass catcher to ever play at the University of Georgia. And he happens to play tight end. So we've already talked about one of the receivers from this Georgia recruiting class. The best receiver from this Georgia recruiting class, his name is Oscar Delp. But let's talk about some of the other receivers in this class. John, what's the name that you got Chandler Smith, you got Denali Morissette. What is the name that jumps off the page to you that you want to go to and talk about for you, John? That's the most exciting of the receivers.
Man, of the receivers. Well, I think I really like Denali Morissette. I think he's more physical. So you have two. You basically have two categories of receivers that Monken and company have gone out to get. You have
that's right,
speed guys, and you have guys that are a little more physical. I like Denali Morissette. He's a little more physical, maybe built in the mold of a Kyrus Jackson, something like that. But I love his vibe, I guess is the right word. Like if you see this kid play, if you see him on Twitter, if you saw him recruit for the University of Georgia, if you see him, on the field in some of his highlight films, like the kid is he just gets after it. And so I like that personally in a receiver. He's a good blocker. He runs good routes. He catches the ball well, like all those things. I think the flash part of this is obviously, CJ Smith and Cole Spear. CJ, man, that kid is fast. That kid
is real fast.
He's real fast. Yeah, runs a sub 10.3 100 meters, like just can fly.
Which as an up 100 meters is still far. That's still a long distance.
That's a long distance, especially to run in 10.3 seconds. And so I think like that's what I love is that there is not for better or for worse, there's not a prototypical wide receiver in this offensive scheme, right? So you got guys that are a mix. You have big physical tight ends that also play as receivers. You've got physical wide receivers that can actually, have a little bit more speed and maybe a little bit more finesse than those tight ends. And then you have guys that are just speedsters. And if you look at again, not to beat a dead horse a little bit, but what Todd Monken is putting together is these are guys that fits the system. These are guys that you've got an AD Mitchell kind of mold. You've got an Arian Smith kind of mold. You've got a Jermaine Burton kind of mold. Like you've got these guys. And then you've got obviously the Brock Bowers that we already talked about. And that's what he's recruiting for. And so, you have to trust the system. That the coaches are going to be able to get these guys get the full potential out of them. But you got to love, if you look at it from a system and a schematic standpoint, you got to love like, hey, that's what we're recruiting. That's what we're recruiting. Yeah. And that makes you feel real good in the confidence that the coaches have in what they're building.
Pass catcher is the deepest position on the team. There's not, and I don't even think it's a close second. It's moving forward. The talent at pass catcher is insane. And again, you're lining up 4 of those guys per play. In a rare case, you line up 5. But really, if you got 5 pass catchers out there, one of them's name is Kenny McIntosh next year, probably. And so you're lining up 3 or 4 of those guys per play, and there's 12 or 13 of them that you would love to run out there.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy deep position.
Go watch. Go to the Twitter machine, listeners, and search for Branson Robinson, and you'll see some videos from him at camp. And the videos of this kid at camp are not videos of him running the ball downhill in a physical manner. Okay, the videos of him at camp are running routes, are doing, are running, flat routes, running out of the backfield, kind of running these, kind of slant routes. Like Branson Robinson is built in the mold of Nick Chubb, but he's a guy that when you look at what what he has on film as a high school player, he caught the ball a lot, and so that's another one.
But John, if you were to, he's probably like more thunder, right? So he probably needs a lightning to go with the thunder.
Clint's never going to let this thunder and lightning die from
Thunder
Gary
and
Danielson.
lightning.
Yeah,
thunder and lightning. That gives me PTSD from who was it? CJ Spiller and the Clemson running backs that were thunder and lightning back in the day. We can't. We Gary Danielson.
Let's
R.I.P. God rest his soul.
Let's never. Clint, Branson Robinson, maybe the most exciting offensive player in the class for you. You're all in on this guy.
I'm all in on him because he fits the mold exactly what John just said. He is not just a thumper because he can thump. Like you see him run between the tackle. He is built to just maul, and he does that. But also you get a kid who's evolving. Like this is football. Congratulations. Mike Allstott is not walking out of any locker room anytime soon for any college program. All right.
With the neck roll.
John's got a real Mike Allstott look to him, by the way.
This could be a neck roll, guys. I can fit this into a neck roll, and we will just
you
go. You
put an old mustard yellow Tampa Bay helmet on, John, and he could pass for Mike Allstott.
We're going full Allstott here on the pod.
That's exactly right.
Full Allstott.
He could catch the ball. He could run the ball. I'm excited for him because he is going to get his shot. This running back group next year is not going to be as deep as it was this year. We have some good players in there, but you're going to have your opportunity to shine, especially if you can catch the ball. Deshaun Edwards is locked into a niche role because he is just the closer. Yeah. He's going to come and just grind out the clock, let it waste away. But if you can catch the ball as well as play, he's exciting to me.
Yeah, Nick Chubb is an easy comparison for Branson Robinson because he's 5'10", 6 foot, 220 or whatever, and just a rock.
He's a fire hydrant.
But I think of him in the mold of the kid that plays for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. If you look at what Jonathan Taylor did his last year, now I don't expect Branson Robinson to rush for 2,000 yards. I would love it if he wants to come and do that. Maybe so. But his last year, Jonathan Taylor's last year, he caught a lot of balls out of the backfield and carried the ball. There were games where he had 30 carries, and then he would turn around the next game and he would have 10 carries and 10 receptions, right? And I think that's the kind of what you're getting with this kid, somebody that's very physical that can tote it 30 times if you need him to, but can also catch it out of the backfield.
Clint, I was digging back through the archives and found a photo of John in his high school days. Just pop it up there, like just there he is.
Oh my gosh,
that's
John.
Me, guys.
There's the man right there. Yeah, listen, that's good. You love to see it.
We could pull up anything we want. Nobody's listening to this podcast anymore at this point on this
YouTube. No, we lost. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Hey, if you are still here, just true fans of the pod, thank you all for being here. It's Friday. Bowl games tonight. Enjoy the weekend. Georgia basketball is back tomorrow, so you can watch a basketball game. And we'll be back next week. And next week, Clint, the focus narrows. It's time to zoom in.
Badger, I'm coming for you. Come at me.
It's time to zoom in. Michigan men are going to be falling in our wake for the next 2 weeks. Clint, Christmas means nothing to me. It's just going to be a string of dead bodies of Michigan men as we just.
By the way, I don't think you know what that means, but. But okay, let's.
I'm just glad. I don't know what that means either, but I'm glad that YouTube that we get comments, written typed comments from Michigan fans, because that Upper Peninsula accent might be the worst in America. So
So many things about Michigan are, in fact, the worst in America, and we will chronicle all of them over the next 2 weeks. So get your khaki pants ready, and we'll be back on Monday for a fresh episode of the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I'm gonna try to find out from Clint what the things I say mean between now and then, but we'll just see. We'll have to leave it up to him. let me know. All right.